Live from Brooklyn, New York, this is Stay Busy with Armon Sadler. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Stay Busy with Armon Sadler, where we have responsible discussions on the music business and the music culture. I'm back. Feels good to be back in the studio. I'm feeling recharged, refreshed, re-energized, revitalized. All of the re's that end in Thank you, Nick. Reinvigorated, all of that stuff. I will say, I think Nick will attest to this. I think anyone who has worked in corporate, if you got that PTO, use that PTO. It is paid time off, and the time off is the aspect that should be emphasized because you need a break. I love my job. Life is good right now, all things considered, but getting that time away, the time away from Slack and the Slack notifications, the time away from Microsoft Outlook, the time away from the news cycle, especially with everything that was going on over these last few weeks, it felt so good. And if you've never been on a cruise, I'm basically like Celebrity Cruise Lines, like new marketing director. The way I've been telling everybody, like, yo, get on Celebrity Cruise Line. Like the drink package, the multitude of restaurants, the pool, the adults only pool within the spa area is just a lot of great stuff to offer. And I got to go to two places I've never been before, Cozumel, Mexico, and Grand Caymans, and I had a blast there. Swam with dolphins. It was really, really cool. So definitely encourage you to, one, take your PTO, and two, jump on a cruise. But all that to say, vacation is over. I'm back. It's the boy Armon, vegan chorizo poppy, founder of Bald Nigga Ballers. I'm here for our end of year episode, a very, very special time for us, for everyone. 2022 is winding down. It's been a year. It's been a really good year. I'm really happy with it, as I expressed in our anniversary episode. So I won't get too, introspective and personal this episode because we got some shit to get into that will probably have y'all debating. But I want to thank the listeners for tapping back in for season 4. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel for all visual episodes, busy sessions, and YouTube shorts, or your preferred audio platform. Leave a review, a like, a comment, engage with us on social media, all that good stuff. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok at StayBusyPod. I want to give a special thank you to Savon Slater, Regina Cho, Imadis Reyes, and Kojo Dodzi for stopping by for our 3rd anniversary episode. 3 years. Flew by, crazy thing to say, but feels really good. We had a great versus battle, a lot of great reflection, great mimosas. So all around, great time. I hope y'all, if you haven't tapped into that episode, make sure that you do. Our Patreon, of course, is popping over there. So click the link in our bio to stay tapped in with the Busy Boys and all of our exclusive content. Patreon.com/StayBusyPod. You might have heard his voice before. You heard me reference him, but Nick Early, executive producer, is in the building. Executive producing at a high level as only he does. Kieran Hurley, our VP of everything the man you cannot see, but you can feel. Siobhan DeShields, our VP of engagement. Aaliyah Simone, our VP of data and analytics. And as y'all know, #sponsored, #ad. We are here. I'm shouting out Curve Lab, our sponsor for the month. Curve Lab is a wellness company with the mission of creating a healthier world through Vitals, training, and recovery services. Vitals is the athletic loungewear of Curve Lab, and their newly released Trial 002 collection pushes the message money means nothing from a hospital bed. You can check the pieces out now at curvelab.com. Curve is spelled with a K, and use the discount code Stay Busy, all caps, no spaces, for a discount on your purchase. Today, I'm wearing the slate high neck sweatsuit, feeling baby blue. I look like cotton candy. Cotton candy could never. Super cozy. Of course, I got the message on the wrist. Money means nothing from a hospital bed. And Curve Lab is 2 for 2 with these fits, man. I feel great walking around in this, and it's like cozy, but it's something that you could get away with wearing this out too. So I applaud the versatility, and I appreciate it. It's always good to feel comfortable, feel good in the skin you're in. I forget what commercial that is, but feel good in the skin you're in. Well, whoever said that, shout out to you for coining that. Now, being back in office, getting back to this news cycle, if there was any week to miss what was going on and not be as tapped in on the timeline, it was last week, because the timeline was a dumpster fire from what I've seen between all of the social media prosecutors and district attorneys, the social media forensic scientists, the social media gang culture representatives. Just everybody just knows everything. Like, y'all so smart. Y'all really some smart people. Y'all know every single damn thing. And it is very annoying to read y'all thinking that y'all know every single damn thing. So the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion trial finally began. And what a mess that has been. It's just been like, one day you read some stuff and you're like, oh, Tory guilty. He did it. Another day you read something, you're like, what? Like, what happened? Like, between Kelsey Harris's testimony and the neighbor's testimony and Tory's DNA not being found on the gun and Meg saying that she wishes she died in the situation. And I get why she would say that. Like, this has been a very emotional, traumatic time for her, and people have been, I mean, like, well, we know people didn't believe her from the beginning. And as time has passed and as more things have come out, like, it's been hell for her. So I definitely feel for her. Trial is not easy. You know, I learned this in my law classes I took in high school. Like, trial's expensive and it takes time. Like, everyone was like, yo, we want to know what happens. Trials take time to get started. And this one got pushed back multiple times. So it's a very trying process for her. And it's been a lot. Like, I've been keeping up with all of the threads. Shout out to the reporters who are in the courtrooms writing out these elaborate Twitter threads. Like, to be tweeting so actively, getting these accurate quotes while you're in the courtroom listening to stuff, like, absolutely incredible, and very thankful. And even with that, you know, as people still denying stuff and people not believing people who are in the room hearing the things firsthand, like, it's absolutely insane. But I'm, like many people, I just kind of am ready for it to be over. I don't, you know, I felt how I felt about the situation, and I'm not really wavering from that. Like, I do, it's clear from what's come out. Like, Meg was shot, and it's reported that there was a woman that shot first, and they got into a tussle, her, Tory, and another guy. There was apparently a fourth woman who the neighbor thought was going to get killed. Like, it's just so many things that are going around within this trial, and so many things that you read, and like, you might really believe something, and then you read something else that just flips you completely. And, you know, I'm not trying to rush Meg's process and dealing with the situation and getting over it, but it's just like, it's exhausting to read, and then to see the people who want to see Tory be innocent, like, that proves it. Yeah, it's like, no, it don't prove nothing. It does not prove anything. So, you know, we'll see how long this goes, but what a mess. And speaking of court stuff, updates on Young Thug, Gunna, and YSL. Gunna was released from prison after pleading guilty to the RICO charge. Now, I want to clarify, and I want to shout out Andre G at Rolling Stone. Shout out to PMC Gang. I want to salute him for writing that piece, clarifying that Gunna did not snitch, because it was free Gunna for like 5 minutes, and then it was Gunna's free, and he's like, oh, he's a snitch, blah, 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 all that. It's not the case. And he made a very clear statement that I think proves that he did not snitch. So he said, I have chosen to end my own RICO case with an Alfred plea and end my personal ordeal by publicly acknowledging my association with YSL. An Alfred plea in my case is the entry of a guilty plea to the one charge against me, which is in my best interest, while at the same time maintaining my innocence toward the same charge. While I have agreed to always be truthful, I want to make it perfectly clear that I have not made any statements, have not been interviewed, have not cooperated, have not agreed to testify or be a witness for or against any party in the case, and have absolutely no intention of being involved in the trial process in any way. How you can read that and get gonna snitch on anybody else is beyond me. But hey, man, like I said, y'all the experts. Y'all are all Harvard Law graduates who just y'all level of interpretation and, you know, all that is it's clearly beyond me. So I clearly got a lot to learn from y'all. But definitely good to hear Gunna's free. It's definitely not looking the best for Thug, which is tough. And I know like a couple other YSL members have, you know, pled guilty and gotten, you know, their time and all that. And so obviously, and unfortunately for the other people, most people really just care about Thug and Gunna. But like, it's, you know, it's ongoing, and Gunna's free for now. So I think it's just worth celebrating that, and we'll see what happens. Like, instead of predicting and conspiracy theories and all that, like, let's just let the process play out. Enough about legality. Let's get into some new music before we jump into the rest of this episode. So finally, after 5 years, 5 long years, Solana SZA dropped SOS. Now, SOS, man. Well, what is there to say about SOS? With a 5-year wait, and with the singles that she's been dropping, and with the anticipation of her dropping, and with all these other women who have been dropping over the years and people rushing to put them above SZA, she absolutely delivered. The sophomore slump is real. We've talked about it. We've seen it. We've written artists off as a result of it. But what SZA did on SOS, it's like, to me, and I was talking to Nick before the episode, and I was talking to Jenny about it. I was like, yo, like, have we seen such a strong follow-up sophomore album to a really impactful debut album? And it took me some time, and different names got thrown out, and I was like, okay, like, this has happened before, but the impact of it feels so much bigger because she gave us a classic 5 years ago and went away. We got, all the stars, and we got Beautiful, and we got, her features on Doja Cat and different stuff. Like, she was around, but she wasn't, she wasn't dropping albums. And then to give us this, I mean, you start with SOS. A lot of people thought it was a Champagne Poetry sample, and Jay Versace clarified, like, he made the beat 3 years ago. Kill Bill. You got Love Language. You got, I like the Don Toliver record. I'm not going to front. Snooze is, Babyface did, oh my God, Babyface went absolutely crazy on Snooze. Snooze is absolutely fantastic. Snooze is my favorite song, absolutely. Like, I think for her to sneak out one of the best songs of the year within the last couple weeks of the year is just like, who else but her? Notice Me, Gone Girl, Ghost in the Machine, Phoebe Bridgers. Like, who would have thought a SZA and Phoebe Bridgers song would sound so good? And then they made it work. F2F, she got in her alternative rock bag. And I think this is the album that's really going to, like, she definitely had pop star potential. She had records on Control that had, like, pop star potential, but I think F2F is like, okay, like, you're willing to take this in, like, any direction, which I think is absolutely great for her. Conceited, she gets to the rap bag a little bit. Far, Shirt, of course, great single. Open Arms, Travis Scott. I like that mellow Travis Scott bag where, the universe doesn't have to be open for him. He's kind of just chilling. Like, it was a cool bag for him to be in, and I think, for not getting really good Travis verses over the years, who else but SZA's gonna do it? And I love when artists speak out. Love when artists speak out about their music, because these Twitter music critics will label something sad girl music, and it was like, there's clearly songs on here that are happy, or that are vengeful, or just other emotions besides y'all saying, oh, sad boys, sad girls, all this. Like, I've said this so many times. The genre is so much more than what y'all limited to in this sad stuff. So I love this. SZA spoke up and said, I got songs like Good Days on here. I got Smoking on My X-Pack. Like, I have songs that convey other emotions besides what y'all try to limit me to. So I thought SOS was absolutely fantastic, and I'm very thankful to SZA for dropping that. She got her first #1. I think she did 315K. And broke streaming records, and there was someone who dropped their R&B album last year that broke a lot of streaming records, and everyone was like, yo, she's different. And then SZA returned and said, gong, just like the Undertaker. That's why I called her the Undertaker. My SZA is the Undertaker take aged so well because of what she did. Whenever she pops out, it is impactful. The proof is in the pudding. I don't gotta say nothing. I don't have to say a thing. It's all proven here. And to jump from a 60K first week for Control to a 315K first week 5 years later, nuts. Because, like, there was someone who told me, like, oh, she only gonna do 150. I was like, do you understand SZA's power at this point? Like, do you understand how long people have been waiting? Good Days is multi-times platinum now. Looks from working with Doja, working with all these other people who can expose her to different audiences. Like, when SZA comes, it's going to be impactful, especially in December when no one else is really dropping shit. So I got to give credit to SZA for that. SOS is great, and I think we answered our question of what has there been a better R&B album since Control? I don't know if I'm ready to say SOS is better yet. But if there is any album that I would put up there, it would be SOS. But yes, this is her. Like, 2 for 2 right now. Absolutely incredible. So let's jump into this slide deck before we get into everything else. Last slide deck of 2022. We've got some heaters throughout this year, and I'm gonna try to end it right. So I got this record by this artist by the name of Maya Lay. This is called Personal, and this is produced by Evan Brown. So let's get into Personal by Maya Lay. Shout out to my LA. Teaneck, New Jersey resident. I love when my Jersey people pop out and do great things. I got to so I she was at Ness. Shout out to Ness. She was at Ness's birthday party, and evidently I met her last year at Ness's birthday party. I don't remember. I was chopped. Yeah, I know how I do. But I got to, it's good to meet the people and tell them like, yo, your music is great. I think she got a great voice. Love the production on there. Shout out to Evan Brown, really versatile producer, and he creates his beats like actually playing piano, like not just working on the beat program. Like I've watched him make a beat before, like from scratch, which I think is great. I love the pockets Maya got in there. I think yeah, she got a great voice. I think that's a great record. I know she put out a record maybe like in the pandemic called So Far Up. So I was waiting for a follow up, and she took her time, really got in her bag, and I could see the progression within her and also the progression in the music. Literally the beat progression, like in that second verse where the the additional instruments come in. Like I thought that was a really great record. So that's Personal by Maya Lay. If you want to hear this record and any other records, of course, you can hit the Stay Busy Slide Deck playlist on all platforms. Hit the link tree in our IG or Twitter bio to access it. And if you would like a slide added to the deck, whether you are a fan of someone or an artist yourself, let me know who I should be paying attention to by DMing us on Twitter or IG at StayBusyPod, or email us at StayBusyPod@gmail.com. Time for the main event. This board meeting, I'm going to talk to myself. You ready for the board meeting, man? Yeah, I am. So this is... it's list season. The end of the year comes. Black Friday is past. You might be doing last minute shopping. You might be getting ready to take a flight somewhere. But also, every time you check Twitter, you're gonna see some best albums, best songs, R&B songs, worst, blah blah blah. You're gonna see lists. It's a lot of lists. And I got another list for y'all. But hopefully, hopefully you enjoy it. You're probably not. I'm sure we're probably gonna get into a lot of debates. So this is Armon's top 10 albums of the year. And you're not just going to hear from me. You're going to hear from some of my pals. So we're going to jump right into it with album number 10. Just get my friend on the phone for y'all.
Hello?
Chris Mack, what's up, my brother?
Amar, what's going on, man?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Just getting off work, chilling. About to watch a couple of these games real quick.
Oh, basketball?
Um, yeah. There's some nice late games tonight. The Cavs and Bucks playing right now.
Right.
But I want to watch that Rockets Magic game.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay, I respect that.
versus Paulo. So
Yeah.
that starts at 8.
It's probably tough for you to watch your Wizards right now, huh?
It wasn't last night, man. I'll tell you what, man. I'm happy we got a dub over the Suns, man.
Yeah, no, that's big.
They're the drizzling shits right now, so we kind of get them when we can.
Mm-hmm.
We finally ended that damn 10-game losing streak.
Right.
But
Love
back
that.
on the road again. You got to face Phoenix again on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think it's on Tuesday.
Word. I hear you.
But then we'll be back home. But we're facing Utah tomorrow. So
okay.
That's gonna be a tough one. But it's a rough season, man. And the worst part about it is we're gonna keep doing this until Bradley Beal leaves the team.
Yeah.
And that's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because we have an owner that refuses to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And his owner state media does not help matters at all, because they do not be honest with what the direction of the team.
Yeah.
It's all rough, man. But
I feel you.
It is what it is. What can I do?
Yeah. Well, I look forward to hearing all your perspectives on No Words Barred podcast, which Chris Mack is a host of. But to not bury the lead, we got an album to get into, man. My number 10 album of the year, Vince Staples, Ramona Park, Broke My Heart. Now, I know that you were very high on this album, and so I would love to hear your perspective on it. Personally to me, and I've been listening to Vince for years, this is the most enjoyable Vince album I've listened to since being a fan of his. So I would love your perspective on whether you think this is his magnum opus, and just, your perspective in general on the project.
When it comes to Vince Staples, and his music, throughout his career, I personally don't see him having any bad projects or a bad album at all. Of course, you had Summertime 2000? Or Summertime 99 was his debut off Def Jam. I thought that was amazing. I was also a big fan of some of his other releases, like the Big Fish Theory. Like a lot of people gave that album flack,
Yeah,
but I thought it was really good
me
because
too.
He was one of the first now that really stood outside the box.
Yeah.
While hip hop was transitioning in the 2010s,
Mhm.
and he was doing more more dub, grimy, out there Eurocentric beats
Yeah.
or hardcore beats that we have artists like Rico Nasty doing today.
Right.
And his self-titled album in 2021, that was also my favorite
It
album
was really good.
of the favorite hip hop album of the year, nonetheless. And him and Kenny Beats, developed some pretty good chemistry, over the years, and it really just shaped the sound for Ramona Park Broke My Heart,
Yeah.
which he's been trying to work on, from the very beginning,
Mm.
and I found this album to be, yes, it's as far as like his magnum opus, Summertime '06 and, as self-titled, I personally will put still above
Mm.
this
Okay.
album.
Okay.
But this is still like, if there was like a, 1A, 1B, this could definitely fill in for like a 1C
Yeah.
or, or shortly behind in the two slot.
Hmm.
And I just love, When Sparks Fly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not only just the best song on that album, but it's one of the best hip hop songs this year.
Mm.
Uh, because it really reminded me a lot of you know, I Made You from Nas.
Right.
It was written,
Hmm.
when he rapped from the perspective of a gun,
Hmm.
and and he put his little spin on it, and I thought it was really dope. Because for the first couple of times I listened to the track, I didn't really I did really pick up on the metaphor
Hmm.
until I was like, oh yeah, he's rapping about this,
Yeah.
and then he follows that song up with East Point Prayer, uh, in which I also had one of my favorite guest verses of the year
Hmm.
with Little Baby,
Yeah.
which he was really coming into his own this year. He had a solid year himself.
Hmm.
And I, East Point Prayer, like that song is actually one of my alarms to wake up to. So, so that song got a lot of play
Yeah.
because I woke up to the song,
Hmm.
throughout much of the winter of 20, much of the early mid year of 2022.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really good. Like I'm wondering, how much longer he's going to go because
Yeah.
I feel like this is like like how Travis Scott wanted to do Astro World. This is
Hmm.
the album that he wanted to make, and he's starting to get more into acting. We just see this dude now on Abbott Elementary now.
Yeah.
He's looks like he's about to get a big role there. But yeah, this is a really solid, nice record. I wish he actually had a DJ Quick feature on
Hmm.
the aptly titled song right there, DJ Quick.
Yeah.
But but this is definitely like really one of his, like, if you really all was just making one of the best artists, really one of the best hip hop artists around of this current generation. And I'm looking forward to see what he can do next.
Me too. Me too, for sure. Because I agree. Like coming with the self-titled project in 2021, like I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, it's really dope, and it was short,
Yeah,
concise, easy to get through, and then to follow right back up less than a year later with Ramona Park Broke My Heart. I was like, oh shit! Like to take it from self-titled to that in such a short time is like, wow. Like he's really doing his thing, and he comes off so like nonchalant. Like you can tell he doesn't take
yeah,
himself too seriously. Like he's just a fun loving, entertaining, but he don't take no bullshit kind of guy. And
yeah,
then you listen to him rap, and you're just like, yo,
yeah.
you really can be so masterful with this craft, and it seems like it's easy for you. So
The,
yeah.
and the funny thing about it, I feel like both self-titled and Ramona Park Broke My Heart, they're like they're a compilation, like they're companion
Mm,
projects, companion pieces.
yeah.
I don't know whether you should start with self-titled or you start with Ramona Park, but I played them back to back a
Hmm.
couple of times, and it does feel like that they are like a side A and a side B.
Yeah.
And with the even with the time lengths of the albums and the runtime and the number of tracks, or it does feel like that. It feels almost like what he did with Summertime '06, but just separated into two separate albums.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, And yeah, he just does it so well. And the more you look at it, like it was there are campaign pieces, they feel like there is one whole album in itself.
Hmm.
And what surprised me if he does put those two albums together in the deluxe, like during
Mm.
an anniversary or something.
Yeah, definitely agree. Definitely agree, man. So yeah, I was wowed by it. Every time I go back, I'm like, wow, this is a full, thorough body of work that I really enjoy. And I like Vince. I've been listening for a while, but I don't think he's really ever made my year end list until this year. So this is a first for me, a first for him with me, and yeah, man, we really enjoyed it. So thank you for your time, my brother.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
All right,
peace.
peace. Chris Mack, everybody. That's my number 10 album of the year. Vince Staples' Ramona Park broke my heart. If you have not tapped into it, I would highly encourage it. It's very personal. It's very good. Very musical. Ty Dolla $ign feature. Lil Baby's on there. Really great piece of work. Let's get into number 9 and let's call another friend of mine.
Hello.
Hey, Maya. How are you?
Hi.
How's everything going? How's this week been for you?
Very busy, but I'm still here.
I feel that. Yeah, busy making your debut on Getty, interviewing Lizzo. Nothing crazy, right?
Just a light week, nothing too crazy.
For those who do not know Maya Abraham, she is a fellow reporter at Vibe magazine. She handles the R&B side, and she is a self-professed, a very firm, strong R&B purist. We can't send her no bullshit for the R&B list, for the R&B column. She don't take none of that nonsense. So I thought there was no one better to bring on to discuss my number 9 album of the year, Ella Mai, Heart on My Sleeve. Now, to talk to me, Maya, as an R&B purist, like how you feeling about Ella's progression from self-titled to Heart on My Sleeve?
Okay, so fun fact about me, I've been an Ella Mai fan since her SoundCloud EP, her
Mm,
very first project, before she even got signed to 10 Summers. So I'm taking it all the way back. So I followed her entire career since the very beginning. And I would like to say that her growth from self-titled up until now, you can just tell that she's like fully developed. She's comfortable in her skin. She's
mm,
comfortable with her talent. She's comfortable with her voice.
yes,
You can really hear like the maturity in it, especially like with her songwriting and stuff.
yes.
I just think that her growth is very evident in this project.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think I really like the self-titled one, like Boot Up, Trip, like all those joints on there, and then you got Easy.
Hmm.
Like it was a lot of good music, and then you're kind of wondering like where's she gonna go from here? And I think for her to take all the time off that she took between self-titled and Heart on My Sleeve.
Yeah.
It's easy for a lot of people to write you off, like, oh, like, is she done? Like, blah blah blah. Is she gonna be able to follow it up? And then you get Heart on My Sleeve. You get tracks like Break My Heart. You get tracks like Hide. You get tracks like How, and it's just like, oh
Power of a
shit,
Woman feels like
yes.
trying. Oh man.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
go
feel
ahead.
like I think that the thing with Ella is that she knew not to rush into it because I
Hmm.
feel like with her EPs, I feel like they kind of came like year after year or very close to each other
Yeah.
when they dropped, and I feel like she knew that she had to live some life a little bit in order for that to come through with her music. Because not for nothing, like yes, she has great songs and she's won Grammys and all those wonderful accolades, but at the same time, it's like people kept limiting her in like the very bigger world of R&B when it comes to like other R&B acts like the Kehlanis, the Janaes, the
Hmm.
SZAs of the world. And so Ella's like, how am I supposed to break out from like who you know me to be and what my songs to be, but also like just show my growth as like I'm a songwriter, I'm an artist, I'm a woman, I live life, I go through
Hmm.
things in relationships. Like you can hear all that on her music, and she wants you to know that it's more than just like singing about love and heartbreak. And yes, those things are very apparent still. She doesn't like shy away from that, but also was like I think her development as a woman
Hmm.
was very, very like, I need you to know that I'm a woman. I'm a grown woman.
Hmm.
And this is what adulting is like. This is what adulting feels like for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest critiques that she gets, and I would love your perspective on this, is, her vocals. I remember watching, like, I think it was Saturday Night Live and she performed live, and I was like, all right, she got some ways to go. Like, I enjoy these records, but there's some progression that she can make. And then you hear Heart on My Sleeve, and it's like, oh, she stepped it up. Like, she's pushing
Right.
herself more. Like, I feel like she really locked in, and, working with the people she worked with, I think also helped her too. So how do you feel? How do you feel about her vocal progression?
I feel like not like I'm not gonna lie. I feel like that was her, but also like having like Mary J. Blige be part of the album, I feel like that mentorship, she took a lot from that. Because it's like, not for nothing, you know, Mary has had her albums and her eras and her moments.
Yeah.
And I feel like somebody like Ella, she really is good at listening to advice and like soaking in all that information. And so I feel like she heard the criticism and she heard the shade, she heard the jokes, she heard all of that, but took that instead of like running and hiding from it. She took that as impetuous to like, okay, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to evolve. How can I be better? How can I be the best artist that I can be? And even seeing her perform part of this album live when she was on tour with Mary J. Blige, you could just tell that she's like been doing development, been like really working hard to make sure like top to bottom, head to toe, inside and out, she is the best that she can be.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I appreciate it. Like it wowed me. I felt like the women in R&B were really strong this year. Ella, Raven Lenae, Amber Mark, Kehlani, Sids I like, but this is for me like really until SZA dropped, like this was the one for me. So
it was a solid project. I give it that, because you know I do not play about R&B.
I know.
I know. I do not play about it, but I'm happy to say that I really enjoyed Self-Titled, and I think I enjoy Heart on My Sleeve just as much as that album.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for stopping by the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You all can check out her work on Vibe magazine. It's an incredible magazine. I'm not just saying that because I work there. It's actually an incredible magazine, and Maya's holding it down on the R&B front. So we can't wait to see what you got coming in 2023, my sister. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Of course,
Bye.
have a good one. Number 9, LMA, Heart on My Sleeve. Let's get into my number 8 album. We get into some rap now. Well, we started with rap, but we get into some rap. So let's do this when my Face ID cooperates. All right, we calling a guy. You've heard this voice before on the pod, but we gonna see what he got to say. Yo, J5, what's up, my brother? How you feeling?
I'm good. What's up?
I'm good. Can't complain. Welcome back to Stay Busy, man. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, anytime you call, I will heed the call, bro.
That's my guy. And then look at him making time for me. I mean, he's a social media strategist at Riot Games, on-amp creator, co-host of The Black Print, The A Show. He's an elite dog father and a chef, but he got time to give little old me a couple minutes to talk about some rap music. What a guy. What a guy.
Oh, little old you. Oh, come on. One of the biggest shows in the world. Stay busy. Glad to be here.
Thank you, my brother. Well, we are talking about my number 8 album of the year, ESTG, I Never Felt None. Now, you and I remember last year we talked about Bigger Than Life or Death. And at first, we weren't too high on it. I know over time it's something that grew on you. So coming into I Never Felt None, like, well, what were your expectations? Did you feel like he was going to take it to the next level?
I have really high expectations for it because, as with everyone on CMG, this album released in the window of their group album.
Yep.
So they had a lot of momentum coming out of it. I was concerned initially because a lot of the songs were very dark and violent. And I mean, on the album that did not change, but what makes I Never Felt None really great was the fact that, like, what people don't understand is that ESTG can actually rap. And regardless of how dark the content is, and trust me, it's very dark, I would not suggest anyone who would again, and it's very layered. It's like, you know, he's talking about things and saying names of people that we just don't even know, but his actual ability to rap is crazy. And one thing that I was talking to my friend A Plus about, I used to call ESTG kind of the new Jeezy. I said, you know what? Is he more Scarface than he is Jeezy? I felt like with Jeezy, it was very much A to B. And with ESTG, it's A to B to C to D to E. And that's the type of rap, and very dense. And he's very, I'd say it's anti-mainstream is this album. And it reminds me of Scarface.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. I love the anti-mainstream point, but then you see the bags he can get into. Like, he gave you a Sabotage with Bryson Tiller. He gave you Backstage Passes with Jack Harlow. I know Jack Harlow isn't your favorite, but you fuck with Backstage Passes, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think that when I came into this, I said, and then when I came out of this album, I said, I need the mainstream ESTG album at least to try. I mean, and again, Scarface gave you that with The Fix. He gave you that, you know what I'm saying, with that album where he actually tried to get a little bit of more of a mainstream look. But with Backstage Passes, it was what could be with ESTG in terms of just making a song that is full of joy and happiness and not a lot of killing. But even Sabotage, Armon, is like, you know, he's in the same pocket. I think his girl anthems or his female anthems are my least favorite of him because they're so nasty.
I feel that. And then I think you and I would agree on this. Like, for me, the best song, the one that I play the most, the one that just gets me in a different mode, is "Shoot At Myself" with Future. I don't even know what to say.
That's in my top 3.
Okay.
Because I think "Get 'Em G-Ski" is one of the most. It is G's mission statement. He says I'm a life stealer on the chorus. Like, what? But to your point, "Shoot At Myself," again, very anti-mainstream, does not carry a normal A to B structure where it's verse, chorus, verse, chorus.
Yeah.
It's very much him and Future going back and forth. Has one of my favorite Future verses. And again, I know you're probably going to talk about this, but Future's been on a tear this year. Let's just be clear. Between this and Bullseye 2, I mean, let's just be real here with Future. But I think he got Future here a little bit. Like I felt like G kind of killed it.
Ooh, that's tough. I don't know, man. That's a tough one.
I listen. The last line, niggas can't say I'm the op. I'm just a demon they met.
Yeah.
It's just like, how do you?
It is crazy. And again, I would say, as someone coming in who wasn't the biggest on him, like, this album was like, all right, like, I think I'm a ESTG fan, and every time he's on a verse with somebody, I love it. Like, he had a lot of great feature verses this year too. Chickens with Future, who we just talked about. Like, I think he went crazy on that, and every time I see his name, I get excited. So I'm really looking forward to what he's gonna bring to the game moving forward.
Oh, me too. I think he's one of the bright spots of rap. I am, like I said, I am concerned that his content and his subject matter is a little bit too dense and a little bit too heavy and a little bit too violent for where we're at right now, especially with like, but I mean, again, it's like people have made violent anthems into drill songs. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like maybe I'm being a little bit too old nigga here, but I'm very much an ESTG fan, and you know, this album is definitely in my top 5 this year.
Okay, well, I can't wait to see the J5 list, man.
Oh no, we're working on it right now. We have actually an episode that we're actually preparing to do on air for tonight, but we're working heavily on the ASF list. So make sure you guys, you know what I'm saying, tune into the Black Print that's going to be coming out next week, where we talk about the ASF list, penned by Josh Pease, and we're going to be talking all about the latest and greatest and the best moments of 2022.
Can't wait, my brother. Thank you so much for stopping by again.
Oh man, thank you for having me, man. Shout out to everybody on the show.
Love you, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, peace.
Number 8, ESTG, I Never Felt None. That street rap, that dark medicine, that, you know, you might want to commit a crime that you never committed before. I'm not like that, but if that's what you are pulled to do, just make sure that you got some finesse like ESTG does. Let's get into number 7, and this is aptly titled. You're going to see why when I get to that point. So let me call my boy here. This is a special call for a special reason.
Yo, what up, bro?
Brother Derek, how are you, my man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I am fantastic. Can't complain. Feeling refreshed. Just came off vacation. You're living out in LA now, right?
Yeah, but we're actually on the East Coast for the holidays.
Okay. Nice. Well, really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. I know we've been wanting you on the podcast for a while, but I think the reason that we got you here is that there's no better reason based off the year that this artist had. So you are here to talk to me about my number 7 album of the year, Lotto's 777. And now this is a special conversation for Derek because he is the vice president of A&R at RCA Records.
Senior vice president.
Senior vice president. My bad. My fault, OG. My fault. Senior vice president of A&R at RCA Records, where Lotto is currently signed. And man, I would just love to hear like the process in putting that album together. Like records like Sunshine, Lil Wayne, and Childish Gambino, It's Given, like a Thug Durk. Like there was so much attention to detail put into it, and she really showed a lot of range there. Like just to like talk to me about putting that album together.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the thing that's very important to note with Lotto is that she's she's trying to go for the greats. Like she's not like I'm not saying that I'm not talking about man or women. I'm talking about she's trying to be one of the best that ever did it. And when you have an artist that is committed to that level of excellence, you have artists that are committed to that level of detail and that level of expansion. It's no different than any artist at any point. She's always been someone that's been known to be a good rapper. That's been that even before she signed with us. And she exhibited a lot of that through Queen of the South and everything around it. But she wanted to be known as someone that made great records all around. I remember she sat down with myself, Jay Graham, Marguerite Jones. We all in on the project. She sat with us on January 4th, 2021, right? And she said she doesn't want to make just she doesn't want to make just the type of rap that everybody expects her to make. She wants to open the box and try new things. That's what she said on the very first day we were working on the new album, and she wanted to try a lot of new sonics, production styles, song styles, and that's what led to a lot of records like Big Energy and Sunshine, and Like a Thug, and like a lot of records were made in that time period that were really, really a lot of the more harder, street records, or I don't think it's given as a street record, but more of like that type of record was more made later because we didn't have enough of those. But her intention was to make records that were way more higher on artistic bar, and I think we accomplished it.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree. Like I always knew of Lotto. I heard of her, and then when I tapped into this album, because the rollout was incredible. Like y'all did a really great job promoting it, and I was like, all right, this is must listen. I listen, and now I'm at the point where every time I see featuring Lotto somewhere, I'm tapping in because of what she did on 777, like on her own, like standing up, but holding her own against Wayne and Childish and Dirk and 21 and all them. It's like, okay, like she's here.
She's here. Yeah, she's here. Yeah. She's one of the best.
And how's it feel to see all of what she's accomplished this year? We got BET Awards, we got Grammy nominees, we've got all these different, just a bunch of different recognitions. She was what, the top selling something on Billboard?
She was. Billboard had her as the top because it's based on the Billboard charts of the year. So she was the top new artist, top new hip hop and R&B artist, top female rapper, top 10 female overall. Man, I mean, it's great because you know what it is like. When you sign an artist, you sign them because they have potential in whatever case that is. And then the best thing that you could ever have is when an artist starts realizing potential. And I'm not saying that she's fully realized everything yet. I don't think so. I think she's going to go down as one of the greatest, female MCs that ever lived and could be one of the greatest of all time all around.
Yeah.
But this album showed me that she it created a world of where she could do everything. And when you start seeing the success that come with it, I always say the BET Awards night when she won Best New Artist and she performed with Mariah Carey, that was one of my favorite moments in my career because I felt like that's when the entire world started seeing what I saw in 2019. You know what I'm saying? What Jay and MJ saw with me. I started seeing that's when the world started to be like, oh, when we used to run around the office saying, no, she's the one. And, people obviously were backing it, but we're more of okay, cool. That's when it felt like the world was telling me what I already been telling the world for quite some time now.
Yeah, there's nothing like that feeling of vindication. So again, congratulations to you, congratulations to her, congratulations to everyone over at RCA. I can't wait for the Grammys, man. I'm really hoping that she walks away with one.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, the Grammys is one of those things where you never really know how it cooks up. But even again, there's something that no one can ever take from you when you're a Grammy nominated artist. And,
exactly.
And there haven't been, if you look at the history of female rap, there hasn't been too many female rappers that's been nominated for Best New Artist. You got Nicki, you got Sweetie, you got Doja, Meg, Iggy Azalea. I think that's about it. There's not many. I could be missing some, but I'm pretty sure that's about it. There's under 10. You know what I'm saying? And there's not many female rappers that's been nominated for that award, and there's only been one to win it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which was Meg.
Mm-hmm.
So I say I had to say, I mean, I guess Lauren, but I I look at Lauren more of a that night was an R&B night, so I don't really put her in that context, but in regards to the raps and shit, yeah, like there's only really been one, which was Meg. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the fact if Lotto can come away with that, well, she has a good shot.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be another mark in the history books for her.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, my brother, thank you again for stopping by the pod. Long overdue. Always great catching up with you, and best of luck on everything you got coming, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
All right, peace.
All right. Number 777 by Lotto. We getting into the top 6 now. I'm about to call someone who this album is aptly named for the person that I'm about to call. My Face ID is wild, and Kieran about to keep all this, make me look crazy. Okay, let's get into it.
Hello?
Hey, Ish.
Hey, man.
How's it going, buddy?
Lovely.
Good. I'm glad to hear this. So, you, man, over the last year, so the album that we're going to be talking about is very aptly named to you and what you present yourself as a very drippy individual. But I just want to give you a quick moment to talk to the listeners about a really exciting thing that happened for you a couple months ago. You were part of this like photo campaign collection thing that had its whole like please tell me. I don't think I'm doing it justice explaining what it was. So please tell our listeners.
Yeah, no problem. So one of my good friends, Yolanda Hofke, she got commissioned to do a project for Fujifilm, basically kind of telling her story. It's like a very personal story related to kind of the concept of ghetto-ness.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a chance to be a part of that. And it was really dope because it was put in an installation of a convention that Fujifilm had back in earlier this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time, well, not the first time, but the pictures were printed out on pretty like large scale. I don't even know what to call it, but like they're like life-size photos. And it was like really dope to see that kind of live and in person. She actually gave me one of them that's like hanging in my house right now.
Yeah, man. You know, you're always a fly guy, but I feel like you really took it to the next level in these last 2 years. Like, one could say that it's been drip season forever for you. Like, would you say that's accurate?
Hopefully, hopefully it'll continue.
And with that, we're going to jump into my number 6 album of the year, Gunna, Drip Seasons Forever. Now, this was quite impactful. Dropped the first week of 2022. Highly anticipated for Gunna. He had the single Too Easy going into it, which was going crazy. We got the remix from Roddy Ricch. And then we get the album and we see Pushin' P Goes to the Moon. But like beyond Pushin' P, there's a lot of great records in there. So for you, what were your initial feelings upon hearing the album, and how is it aged amongst everything that's come out for you in 2022?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really tough, especially when, you have albums that come out very early. And I think Drip Season 4 came out like mid-January or something like that.
Literally first week of January. January 7th.
Yeah. So when you like think of the top albums of the year, sometimes you forget about albums that come out at the time and they kind of blend in with like the last year. But I think when it first came out, I was really high on it. I loved it. Obviously like records like Pushin' P, and I think what was the single? Too Easy.
Mm-hmm.
I was really high on those at first, and ironically, I think those are the songs that I listen to the least now. But I think that what I've loved about Gunna throughout his career is kind of like the more mellow tracks. There's a lot of those on this album, and I think some of them are my favorites. Probably like So Far Ahead and Empire is actually, I think, probably my favorite song.
Yeah.
You and Me, Living Wild. I think like when he gets in that kind of more mellow pocket is like peak Gunna for me.
Yeah, Living Wild was especially crazy because he got a little more personal on there, like talking about pneumonia and like being in the hospital and like question his mortality and all that. Like it really hit home. It's like typically Gunna just raps about getting fly. Like pretty much everything that he talks about in his records, he's getting fly, he's getting women, he's doing illicit drugs. But I think hearing him talk about like a really difficult time in his life and what he was dealing with, it was like that's dope. And then you hear similar to that on Missing Me. Like you said, So Far Ahead, Empire, those are dope. And then you got tracks where he just raps his ass off, like South to West, 25K Jacket, I Don't Know That Bitch, Thought I Was Playing, How You Did That, Kodak Black. Like it's a really good listen, like straight through. Like every time I go back to it, because like you said, it's difficult to gauge things that come out early in the year. But every time I'll go back to it, I'm like, damn, there's no way I can leave this off my list because this shit is hard.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely like the progression of I think it's like more hype in the beginning of the album and it gets like more mellow as it goes on. It's like almost like a perfect like workout album. I used to listen to the gym like all the time.
Yeah.
Earlier in the year because like you start off hype and then like you're weaning down your workout and I'm listening to it's like I get to like Missing Me while I'm walking home back from the gym. It's like perfect. Like, like 2 lives. He's also one of the few rappers that I can actually listen to 20 songs from and not get bored.
Yeah. I feel that. Now I know you and I are both high on Wanna from 2020. Where would you put this? If it had to match up next to Wanna, is DS Forever better? Is Wanna better? Like where would you rank these amongst Gunna's catalog?
That's tough. I don't think it's better than Wanna. Wanna has a special place in my heart.
Me too.
It's very good. I think that it's kind of hard like as your career goes on, I think for rappers to keep putting out albums that are better than the last. And you always have like that your few classics that are early in your career, but I think it's pretty high. I would put it top 3 at least.
Okay.
For me.
Okay. Word. I feel that. Well, my brother, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your drip with us on social media. It's always a pleasure to scroll through and share your pics and show them like, yo, I have very fly friends. So thank you for being that.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Talk to you soon.
Right,
peace. And that was number 6, Gunna, Drip Season Forever. Now, we're going to go to my number 5 album, and we're going to get to someone that you all have heard from on this show before as well. So let's get to it. Yo, what's up, my brother, Jordan Rose?
What up?
How you feeling, man?
Man, I can't complain, bro. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. It's always an honor to talk to one of Complex's staff writers, and the man that you see all over the Complex music reels, interviews with Nas, Chance the Rapper, Smino, Quavo, and The Late Takeoff, and many, many more. Like you're like one of my really cool friends, man.
Nah, bro, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, like I feel like you're my guy. In and out of the music space, you're my guy, bro.
Facts, absolutely. And so with that, man, we're gonna jump right into my number 5 album of the year. And I'm not gonna say the names of the artists or the album title. I'm just gonna say, Jordan Rose, can you do something for me? Can you hit a little rich flex for me? Her Loss, Drake and 21 Savage. Man, what a fucking album.
What an album, man. What a cinematic experience.
Mm-hmm. I want to hear from you. Your favorite songs on there.
Ooh, honestly, I feel like it's funny because I was just listening to that album.
Of course you were.
There's a few. I think first and foremost, Spin About You is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Jumbotron Shit Poppin' has really grown on me a lot.
It's hard.
Like that whole more M's, like there's just so many moments back on Side Boys. Like there's honestly, I don't even think there's any real skips on this, because even when you have like tempo changes, like from the Spin About You to the Hours of Silence to the Treacherous Twins, I feel like they still are all really fluid, because like there's so many songs that have like 2 distinctive parts. Like even Rich Flex is like the beginning of Rich Flex and the end of Rich Flex are very distinct but still cohesive. So it's like, you know, so those are like a few, but it's really like I really fuck with every song on here. Like I have no real skips on this album.
I agree, and I think we talked about this in the Jaw chat, but like going into this, you know, the rumors of Drake and 21 doing a collab project and then seeing it officially announced, it's like, okay, they both had great records together. You know, so some would say they're 4 for 4. Some people didn't like Mr. Right Now, whatever the case may be. But like a full project of them, I was like, this is interesting. Like I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like 21 is at the height of his powers currently. I think, you know, he can still get better, but as an artist, he's at the height of his powers. And Drake is Drake, but I'm like, still, this is an interesting pairing. And then we get what we got.
Sure.
And you see the pockets that Drake can encourage 21 to get into, but then you see Drake kind of matching 21's energy on as well. You look at something like Rich Flex feels like a 21 song, but Drake molds himself so well. Like on BS, more M's, like those feel like 21 records. But then you also know like he's gotten into his singing bag before, so Spin About You doesn't necessarily feel like out of his wheelhouse. Hours in Silence, even though he just has a bridge there, like that doesn't feel out of his wheelhouse. So it's like, I feel like they both really did well for one another on this project, and the dynamic works really well.
Oh, for sure. You know, it's funny. I was just, even though it's not on this album, I was just writing a blurb for Jimmy Cooks, and in writing that, I was just reflecting on their relationship. And I always feel like Drake is like the perfect contradiction. It's like he's the petty mob boss, the misunderstood oversharer. Like so many things about him don't make sense but make sense. And I feel like this courting is one of those things where you have 21 Savage, just like sinister, you know, Slaughter Gang CEO, paired with the Certified Lover Boy, who like these two contradicting concepts that yet when put together still create this like perfect storm. And it's like we've obviously seen it with, like you just riddled down, you know, Knife Talk, Mr. Right Now, Sneakin', you know, and Jimmy Cook. So like we've already seen it, but I feel like this album was a real solid proof of concept that, like, even though, you know, whatever, you know, there's the critiques that it sounds like a Drake album featuring 21, which is like, I feel like that is kind of, even though, and I'm standing on this, I strongly believe 21 Savage was the most valuable player of 2022. Like, outside of the features he's done with Drake, how he showed up on the Metro album, how he's showing up on every song he's been on this year, from Cash and Cash Out, all the Pharrell shit, like even him on DS4, like he has not missed a feature this year. So it's like, I think that 21 is the most valuable player of 2022. But, you know, when you're on an album with Drake, it's almost like, I hate to use this comparison, but it almost reminds me of Jay Electronica Hove Written Testimony. It's like, I love Jay Electronica, I really do, but it's like when you're sharing songs with the greatest rapper breathing for like mad songs, it's easy to get overwhelmed. Absolutely. And I'm not saying 21 gets overwhelmed, but it's like when you have someone like Drake who literally finds, I think this is the most complete Drake we've heard in a minute, just in terms of like, he finds like so many different pockets on the same song. Like Rich Flex, you have him with a melody, then you have him with a verse, then you have him with a hook. So it's like, when you're getting that full monster on every song that you're on with him, I think it's hard for it to not sound like you're just the feature artist. But regardless of that, I still think there's a good balance to it.
I agree.
I think that they work well together.
I agree, man. Yeah, it was tough. Like I had my list pretty much made by the end of October, and then I heard this and I was like, nah, like it will be hard to put this on my list and not have it somewhere in the top 5. And I had a really hard call to make with what my top 5 was, because at one point this was number 2 and I was like, I don't know, like I might have to pull it back. So I ended up pulling it back to number 5. But I'm really happy with this project. I think it's. And then you think about tracks like Middle of the Ocean, 3 AM on Glenwood, where they really get into their backpack rap type bags, introspection, talking their shit. It's just like it's really like much like a Drake album, which is I guess why people are saying it. It's a buffet of so many different types of sounds, and then he unlocks different sounds with Jumbotron shit popping. You know, production from Yachty and Tay Keith is fantastic. It's just there's really a lot of good shit here. Like there's nothing that I want to skip, and I think it's crazy too, because I think about the first, I believe, 6 to 7 songs is a great run. Rich Flex, Major Distribution, On BS, Back Outside Boys, Privileged Rappers, Spin About You, Hours and Silence. But then like those last 4 songs too, where like more M's and I guess it's fucking me and all. It's like, yo, I don't know if I like the top half or the bottom half first because this shit is just all great.
Bro, like I found myself struggling with that question as well. Like it's really just like more M's, especially like what happened to that nigga claiming OVO, we traded him. Like, yo, like there's also just so many like fun, you know, I was watching that little Q&A that he did on Instagram Live. Like I was watching like a recording that someone did of it, and he was talking about how he and 21 finished this album in like 4 months.
Yep.
And it was like at first when they were starting, they were like they didn't know if it was gonna be a whole project or if it was just gonna be like they're gonna make a few songs and like just release a few in like a pack. But then like once they got into a groove, they like just kept making bangers and having fun with it. And like that's exactly what this sounds like. It doesn't sound like there was like a lot of overthinking that went into it.
Yeah.
You know, yet still everything ties into it. Like everything ties into it. Like honestly, I feel like also even just looking at the rollout, I think this was like one of the most like I think that the Billboard shit that he did for CLB was creative, but I think that the fake rollout was something that was different that we haven't really seen from him. That because like you know he's been on the Billboard wave, like he did that shit with Scorpion, and I fuck with his Billboard vibe. I think like you know putting a Billboard of like in the cities where the artist was featured was crazy. But just like the fact that I'm looking at my coffee table right now and looking at this fake Vogue, real Vogue magazine that like he took the $4 million L lawsuit for just for the sake of the flex, just for the rich flex of it all. Like,
the rich flex of it all.
Yo, like you can't make that shit up, bro. Like that's the real privileged rapper shit.
Yeah.
Yo, like it's crazy.
You about to just do Mad Libs on the song titles?
Bro, it's like this. You see how at all times it's just like you know it's a real masterclass, and I think that's something that could only come about from an artist like 21, who is I think the most valuable artist of the year, and then an artist like Drake, who's had just such an interesting year in like himself of like having this first very unconventional album that I think is really good and honestly Nevermind, and putting that conventional Jimmy Cooks on it as kind of like a dog ear preview of what's to come, and then following up with this, which obviously none of us expected, and it was just kind of like that gift that we didn't ask for but we're blessed to have to like really round out the year. I think it's amazing. And it keeps the rap fans fed. I was content with him just dropping like a fucking Scary Hours EP or some shit.
That's what I expected.
To like, to give us like, you know, the rap fans some shit after the dance album. I was really expecting like a 3-song pack. So to give us a whole 16-song album that doesn't feel like any wasted space, or it doesn't feel like, you know, any beat or bar was wasted. And shout out to Yachty for having his hands all over this shit, like credited and uncredited. I feel like Yachty is also like being around Drake. I feel like Yachty is also elevated.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to see what the fuck Yachty got going on, because Drake Ben said that Yachty had influenced him a lot on this in terms of beat.
There's talk of a Yachty project soon. I've heard rumors of a Drake Yachty project. I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that, but I've heard rumors of that. So we don't know. We'll see what comes. But yeah, man, her loss is it was our gain. Her loss was our gain, really, to put it simply.
Shit.
Absolutely.
Type shit.
My brother, thank you so much for your time. I'll hit you in the group chat.
You know, I mean, look, we'll get back to it.
Absolutely, my brother. Peace.
All right, yo, peace. All right.
That was my number 5 album of the year, Drake and 21 Savage's Her Loss. We are going to jump into the number 4 album, and I'm about to call this person right now.
Hey, what up?
Hey, Mel, how are you, my man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you joining us on Stay Busy. You're someone who I've I've always thought like, yo, he would be someone to have a really good conversation with. I low-key always felt a little like scared about it just because like the way that you discuss music, like you're so intuitive, like the technicalities of it, like you have a different mind for music, which is needed. It's really needed on Twitter because there's a lot of bullshit that gets said, and I think like reading your tweets and seeing your perspective is always like, it's nice to know there's someone who actually knows what they're talking about.
I appreciate that. I'm honored to be on this. So
absolutely.
It,
Mel is an accredited songwriter who actually secured his first #1 record on gospel airplay back in August with Brian Courtney Wilson's Sure As, and he is a writer for culture.org as well. So the man knows what he's doing. But today we are here to talk about my #4 album of the year, Beyonce's Renaissance.
Nice.
Man, I honestly, I just want to give you the floor. I just want to hear how you feel about it.
For sure. So first off, I appreciate you having me on again. This is an honor. So personally, Renaissance was my favorite of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's on, like, I have a list of albums that I can't believe people actually made.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of how good they are.
Yeah.
And Renaissance made it onto that list, like past the composition and the arrangement and, of course, the production on the album. At least from a technical standpoint, the level of visioning and execution throughout the entire album was superior. I remember the first time listening to it and I was just like, oh my God, like this, every song was had a purpose on the album.
Yeah.
And it was executed perfectly. Beyonce clearly fulfilled what she set out to do from a sonic standpoint, but also the rollout as well. Like the ability to create like this album in 2022 that has like people meeting up and dancing and, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and she's doing it without leaning too much into like her personality. So I thought that was impressive as well. So yeah, also, can you hear that?
Yeah, it's all good.
Dang. Okay, hold on, wait. Yeah, where I am, there's like a train near me. And of course, it just did it as soon as we got on the phone.
No worries, brother.
But yeah, do you want me to start over? I don't know, like.
Oh, no, you keep going. Keep going.
Okay, cool.
You're good.
So yeah, of course, with the dance parties, I thought that was crazy. And it's something different than just, being on I see people like having issues with her not having videos or like being on Hot Ones or whatever. But, I think she's doing what she set out to do. And what she hinted towards, like, since 2013, just putting out the music and letting people rock. And also, like, going more into like a historical standpoint, I personally thought that the album was like a masterclass in archiving, especially as a musical practice. I mean, we see this a lot in sampling. Like, that's why we love sampling. It takes, it kind of converges the past with the future, or it uses the past to create the future.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I was really impressed by was how deliberate she was and how deep she and her team were with, picking and choosing what they wanted to use for the album, especially when we look at how, Black music, they kind of reclaimed dance in a specific way. Cause I often talk about, anybody who grew up like in the early 2000s, dance, we see a lot of it as, quote unquote, oomps oomps music. Like, that's all we heard with EDM and, stuff like that. But just the sonic references she chose, the samples, like the styles of music from funk, disco, even house. And then when we look into like ballroom, I think Pure Honey is brilliant for how, for how they did it. But she kind of unearthed and also reclaimed some of Black music's most underserved and ambitious sounds. So personally, I think it's one of the most Black albums I've heard in a while.
Absolutely.
And it's definitely a glaring reminder that, Beyonce, she's still out here. She's still at the top of her game. She's still building worlds, and she's doing it, deliberately through Black music. So Renaissance is it for me.
It's fantastic. Like for me,
sure.
It definitely felt like one of her most like daring efforts, and kind of like you said, like you could kind of see those seeds being sown from self-titled onward. Like you go from self-titled Lemonade, that people were polarized on that. I thought Lemonade was dope too, and then you get here and you see her like really owning her Blackness, being a Black woman, and just like all these sounds. Because I think and for me, I've said this before, like my favorite Beyonce records are typically the ballads, and it's not really ballads on here, but I still rock with it. I still listen to it straight through because it's just undeniably good music, fantastic vocal performance, and just the attention to detail that you want from an album from one of your greats who's shown that they can really do anything.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And she's at the top of her game, especially like, vocal performance wise, like some of the best vocal performances she's ever had are on this album. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for sure.
Man, well, it's great to talk music with you. We're going to have to do this again in like a full capacity because I know that there are some things that you and I stand on opposing sides on, but hey, it's all in the name of love, loving this music shit and discourse and rhetoric. So thank you for your time, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right, peace. We're jumping into the top 3 now. This might be where people get a little contentious with me, so we're gonna see. I'm gonna call my next guest. This is a guy who I've wanted on this podcast for a while, and he's wanted to be on for a while too. So the timing is impeccable.
Yo,
Cameron, hey, what's good, my brother? How you feeling?
What's good, Brody? I'm chilling, man.
I love to hear it. For our listeners who do not know this guy, and I think it's impossible if you don't know who this man is because he's going viral every day. Complex's own, Elite's own, the mayor of Twitter Spaces, interviews with Deion Sanders, Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins, Justin Jefferson. And he's always riling someone up with his music takes, even though he be spitting like 97% of the time. So very excited to have you here,
man.
Man.
What's the 3% where I'm not?
I'm still holding a little bit over you from when you didn't like Dawn FM at first. So I think that's the 3%.
But that's fair.
but you've grown, you've changed.
No, for sure. I was late to the party, but that's one of my favorite albums this year now, for sure.
Smart man. And speaking of the number 3, we're here to talk about my number 3 album of the year, Future, I Never Liked You. Now, you have been on the mountaintop yelling that this man is the MVP of the year. This is one of the best albums of the year. So I really just want to give you the floor to talk your shit about this amazing project that we received.
Nah, I think it's pretty simple when it comes to me and Future. Like, for the listeners who are listening to this pod, if you follow me on Twitter, you know how big a Future fan I am. If you don't follow me, like I'm a big Future fan. He's one of my favorite artists, period. And I don't want to sound biased when I describe how I feel about this album because I was not big on High Off Life. Like, you know, Armon, we talked about it before. Like, I did not think High Off Life was a good album at all. I thought Future was showing signs of, slippage, honestly, with that project. And so for him to bounce back with this type of album, it kind of surprised me. It really did because, he's in, I didn't want to say the twilight of his career, but, when you put in 10 years of, like, high-level work in rap, you start to reach borderline uncharted waters. Only a few people who have really been able to have the type of longevity that Future has with the maximum amount of output and volume.
Yeah.
So for him to come back with the album that, in my opinion, it checks every box you look for in not just an album from Future, but in general with the hip hop album. I think it gives you the huge hit record, of course, with Wait For You. Mm-hmm. Like you could argue that's the biggest hip hop R&B song of the year, if not, is one of them for sure. But he covers a lot of bases. He gives you the still type of introspective Future records with the way things going in particular. That's one of them. You got the R&B ballad, Love You Better, which is one of the better songs of this year, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You have like Holy Ghost Chickens, the intro 7:12 p.m. puffing on Zooties, like I can just go up and down the track list and you can look at it and see like this album really was a strong offering, a strong solid body of work. And as for Future in general, you like you said, I've been saying he's the MVP. I just think that he was omnipresent this year. Like you couldn't escape him. Whether it was his own album that was, I think it was the most he's ever done as far as first week sales, which is impressive in and of itself. But then you look at the features he was able to do on whether it's with the real Boston Richie, on Metro Boomin's album, the beautiful record with SZA, which I think is actually one of the more underrated records of the year.
It is.
On DJ Khaled's project. He was just everywhere, bro. And it was just hard to escape him. If you really love hip hop and like are dialed in on what's going in the culture and the genre, he was everywhere this year. And I think that he was everywhere in a way that not many, if anybody else, was. And that's why I crowned him the MVP personally this year. And I think that I Never Liked You is like the perfect album to culminate the type of year that he had, to put it into like perspective.
I completely agree. And I know like with Future, it gets annoying to talk about him because when people critique him, it's never the music, it's the content. They're like, yo, you're like 40 years old talking about the same stuff, toxic, all that shit, blah, blah. And it's like, I feel like on this, he just fully committed to that character, but still gave us great, undeniable music through that. Like, yes, he's still being the guy that y'all make all these Twitter narratives about, but like, you can't deny Wait For You. You can't deny Love You Better. You can't deny Puffin' on Zooties. You can't deny Chickens. And then it gave you those cult favorite records too, like Misogyny, which is like a minute 46 seconds, but that shit is impeccable. Like there's no touch of Misogyny.
Facts. Like, bro, he gave you everything this year, bro. And I wasn't sure he had a year like this in him again.
Yeah.
And for him to be able to bounce back from what I thought was a disappointing album, one of my least favorite Future projects with High Off Life,
easily,
and then give what I believe is probably one of his stronger albums. I'm not in the business of ranking it yet or anything like that, but it's definitely high in his catalog if I had to sit down and like really analyze where I want to put it. So for him to be able to come back with a year like this, as strong as it was, bro, I think it speaks volumes to the type of artist that he is, and he clearly has a lot left in the tank.
Absolutely. And I love that point you made. I would love to ask you about this, and we could keep it to Future or like more generally, like with a lot of these big artists, people, they cling to their like seminal album or their debut album. So for Future, it's Dirty Sprite 2 for a lot of people. Like they say, oh, this album was good, but it's not Dirty Sprite 2. And I think about myself, like being a Drake fan, for example, like everyone says Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, but I feel like he's rapping better now than he was back then. And so I'm always willing to kind of give the edge to hearing newer stuff where he sounds better. So what's your perspective on that overall, like with Future and just artists in general, and like kind of clinging to their old project that maybe you were introduced to them to, and maybe not necessarily being able to see that, yo, this nigga's getting better?
Yeah, I think that it's a flawed way of, digesting music. I think that if you are constantly holding somebody to a bar of what this is their best body of work, or this body of work meant the most to you at this certain point, it's going to be hard for you to see and appreciate any new offering and any of the beauty and anything that they do after that. And I think that that's a very flawed way to look or listen to music in particular. Like with Future, I don't like DS2 is it's the bar. Like if you want to say that's the bar for Future albums, this is best project, then I wouldn't argue against it. But since DS2, he's also given us Hendrix, he's given us Future, he's given us The Wizard, he's given us now I Never Liked You. So he's given us quality, great, good albums since then.
Yeah.
And if I was to listen to all of these albums every time and be like, yeah, well, it's good, but it's not DS2, I wouldn't find any joy in anything. Like I wouldn't enjoy anybody's music afterwards. Like you said, if Nothing Was the Same is my favorite Drake album, but he's put out like 6 projects since then. If I every time I cut on a Drake album and I walked in, I was like, yeah, it's not Nothing Was the Same, then you're never gonna be satisfied. So I think you just gotta allow people to grow, and not just grow, but just like go into things with an open mind. I think we live in a society now or an era where everything either has to be classic or trash. There's no middle ground. There's no room for it to just be good, or enjoy what you got without comparing it to anything that came before it.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to get away from that, because it's hurting how we discuss art in general now, and it's hurting people's ability to listen to projects and really enjoy projects as a whole now. And I think that there's definitely more of a middle ground than classics or trash. For things to be trash, that means it's not redeemable. There's like nothing redeemable about it, bro. And so I think that we just got to move past the comparing and debating about things and just appreciate what we're given, because there are a lot of artists, like you said, guys that are big, or women that are big artists who are, you know, deep into their careers, who are still giving us quality work. And I don't think it's fair to them to judge them against their peaks. It would be like us not appreciating what LeBron James is doing now because he's not quite 2013 LeBron. That doesn't mean he's not still damn good. Like,
exactly.
You feel me?
Yeah. Where do you see Future going from here? Do you think he's going to take a break? Do you think he has another collab tape with someone in him? Like, because that's something I've been thinking about a lot. Like, I don't really know like what the next step is for him. He has nothing left to prove, of course. He's beyond solidified, but I don't think he's slowing down.
Nah, I don't think he's slowing down at all at this point. You see he's starting off 2023 with the Future and Friends like shows that he's doing in select cities. He sold his masters last year, and rumors are he got like 75 million or something. And I think that I don't know if he has another run in him in this decade as prolific as the last one. That would be asking a lot. But I think that, like you said, there's plenty left in the tank when it comes to Future. I think he has a lot of good music left to give us, a lot of executive. I think that's the next pivot for him. Like, you're starting to see with a guy like real Boston Richie bubbling under him. And I think that that's another thing that we could see from Future in the next act, is him like starting to break younger artists. He has a strong presence in hip hop, and a lot of young artists look up to him. He's an influential figure. So I think that that's something that could possibly come in this next act of his career as well. So I think he has a lot left in the tank. I think that we're probably gonna get another Future album in 2023. If not another album, he'll be on features, dropping singles, Lucy's, whatever, because he never really takes breaks. So until he's just like completely bored and done with it, I think we're gonna keep getting future music, bro.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep being satisfied because that nigga's him.
Facts.
Well, my guy, thank you so much for finally coming through. We got to get a full episode with you. I don't know, like, you probably will come to New York when it's warmer because the weather is ass right now, or whether we got to do it virtually. We got to get a full Cameron Hayes Stay Busy episodes so the listeners can learn more about you.
Nah, for sure, bro. I appreciate you having me on. A big supporter of your pod. You've come on my shows before in the past, bro. You know how I feel about you. Like, I appreciate you even keeping me in mind. We definitely got to make a full Stay Busy pod episode happen.
Absolutely, my brother. Much love. Talk to you soon.
You too, bro.
All right, peace. Number 3, Future, I Never Liked You. We are getting into the top 2. My goodness, this is it's been a ride. I've given y'all some heaters so far, right? I'm sure the listeners, someone might have turned it off already. If you did, you a hater. But for those who are riding through, I think these last 2 will be much worth your while. So let's get into our next caller. Yo. Kwani Walker, what's good, my brother? How you feeling?
My boy, what's going on?
I can't complain. For those who don't know, Kwani came by our season 3 finale, dropped us off some Sandir New York. I just got my Sandir New York order. Got some shades, got me a nice white shirt, got some shorts. Sandir doing the thing. They got a holiday sale, so if you're not tapped into the Sandir, make sure you get some Sandir New York clothing, because this boy don't miss. You really had a great year with this fashion stuff, man. I want to give you a salute for that.
Appreciate it, my brother. Thank you so much.
Of
Thank
course.
you for your support.
Of course, man. So you are here. We're waiting for Ryzen 2. I don't know if he's going to slide through, but while you're here, I'll just talk to you about it. So we're here to talk about my number 2 album of the year, Drake's Honestly Never Mind. Now, this was a surprise for a multitude of reasons. Quite literally, it was a surprise album. Like, no one expected this. Like, he announced it, like 4 p.m. the day it came out? Like, literally no one expected this. And then, you see the cover art. Drake's cover arts are real simple. You feel how you feel about them. And then you go press play, and then you hear the intro. And then you hear Falling Back. And you're like, oh, okay, like, he's starting this off a certain way. And then you keep going, you like, oh, like, this is all, like, house dance, like, high energy, whatever you want to call it type music. But, once you kind of accept that he's doing something different here, it's really fucking good music. And I know you've been waiting for a while to talk your shit on this pod. I've been wanting to have you on. We were supposed to have a Drake roundtable, but man, I really want to give you the floor to really educate these non-Sixers about what we got in Honestly Nevermind. Non-Sixers might have to be the title of the episode.
All right, so like you, I was very, very, very shocked at what was happening. I looked at the track list. I didn't even see that it said dance, honestly. I didn't even know that. But I looked it over. It's almost an hour I was looking at it. Then I'm listening to the first few songs. I'm waiting for the change of pace to happen or the change of songs or whatever. But nothing is happening. It's the
Right.
same kind of songs over and over. So I'm like, all right, this is just different now. So I started listening to it with a different kind of ear, and yo, bro, this shit goes, bro. It is amazing.
Yeah.
I actually really like it. Everybody's like, oh, it doesn't bang when you're outside, it doesn't go off. It's the same thing. Like, yo, it's a vibey album. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not in it for the words. I'm in it for the vibes. I'm just here to have fun, just dance. When you hear it outside, the shit goes. I look
Yes.
around, everybody's just dancing, having a good time. Nobody's caring about the words. Everybody's just, it feels good. It plays in any kind of setting, and it's great.
Yeah, man.
I
Like,
love it.
and I think it showed the extent to how good of a songwriter he is, because we know he can rap. We know he can write R&B records.
Oh, he's versatile, bro.
But like right into these type of records is like, it's not easy. Like, some of these house dance artists be keeping their songs real simple. A lot of them just be beats. Like you might just get like a repeating chorus, but Drake really gave us like verses on these shits, verses, bridges, refrains, like hooks,
captions,
like,
bro.
Yeah, like he still he still got his captions off. Like he really showed and then like to get on a beat like Sticky and to be rapping the way he did.
Bro.
And then to give you Massive and to give you like all like just everything that he
Liability.
gave. Yo, what's good,
I
Rising?
play Liability
Oh,
every
yo, my bad. I'm late to the party. But
You good? You good? What's up, my
just in
brother?
time.
I'm doing well. How are you?
I can't complain. This is one of the premier photographers, not just in the country, but in the world. Like if you want to get right, you got to hit up my guy Rising's Lenses to get right.
Yeah.
But it's great to have you, bro. We're just in the middle of praising Drake and talking to these non-Sixers about how amazing Honestly Nevermind is. So if you got anything you want to get off about that project, the floor is yours.
Listen, man, that was a great project, top to bottom. A lot of people don't like it, but a lot of people don't have the music palettes that others do. And
Tasteless motherfuckers. Niggas is tasteless.
The only thing
niggas got COVID. They can't taste nothing.
Benefited from going to a white school was like I got introduced to stuff like house.
Yeah.
And everybody always talks about, oh, Drake do the same thing. Drake do this, Drake do that. And then he went into house music.
Yeah.
And some people will never see Ibiza. This is Ibiza music.
Yes.
That's it. He's in a different bag. They just can't relate.
Absolutely. Quanta, you were just talking about Liability, and Liability is one of my favorite records on that album as well. I think Liability and Jimmy Cooks was the records like he kind of had to give to the people who want, R&B Drake or they want rap Drake. But Liability in itself, like with that vocal chop filter, like that shit is hard, bro. Like that might be one of the best R&B records he's ever made.
It is, honestly. For me, I think Text Go Green is probably my favorite.
Yep, there we go.
That's honestly my favorite. But like you said, like the classical thing, I think Liability would take the cake. But
yeah,
Text Go Green is hard. The whole run of this whole thing is just hard. I don't have to skip a beat or anything. I can let this whole album play. Like I have it playing when I'm designing, when I'm working or whatever. I don't have to turn it off.
I think the only record that I'm still not feeling like that is Overdrive. That's the only one that I'm kind of shaky on. That's the only one. Like it took me some time to start fucking with Calling My Name, which is I know that's unpopular. People love that immediately. It took me some time to start fucking with that. It took me some time to really get into like Ties That Binds. But man.
Some of them just gotta grow on you, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's done things like this before, like we can all see, like on like More Life. Nigga had One Dance and all that type. Like he had music kind of like this before, so I don't know why everybody was so up in arms.
Yes,
I think this is the first time he just usually he tries to satisfy everybody, but I think this is the time where he's like, nah, I'm just gonna put my all into this one type of music, and I don't know, the shit worked.
And that's the best part is like people been asking him to take a risk for years. And he takes the biggest risk he's ever taken, giving niggas a full dance album. And people are like, oh, no, but we don't want it that way. No. We don't. But it's like, bro, if you sit and you appreciate what was given rather than saying what you wanted it to be, there's a lot to appreciate here. Flights booked, Downhill. Like, come on, man. Like, get out of here.
Bro, it's a lot to like.
Downhill is for me, like someone was saying, Liability is one of his best songs. Downhill is one of those songs that when we play this back in a year from the release, everybody's gonna be like, yo, Downhill was one of them songs.
Yeah.
And people just gotta, the thing with Drake is like every time he releases something like this, everybody talks crazy at first. The haters say all their unnecessary opinions. Everybody that doesn't know what to say just plays the middle. And then when we revisit it in a year or two, oh, this is one of the best things that came out that year. But the rest of us, we know, and we're always gonna know. So that's just
we know. Sick shit. Yo, does Downhill give y'all Don't Matter to Me vibes from Scorpion? Because when I first heard that, I was like, yo, did he sample Don't Matter to Me? Like, I don't know. Maybe I was tripping. So someone else texted me about it. So maybe the two of us are tripping. But Downhill reminded me a lot of Don't Matter to Me.
Yeah, listen to it again.
I was about to say, I'm about to give y'all some homework. Go listen to Downhill.
I'm not lying. I got to listen to it again.
That's no problem. But Kwani, I believe you said your favorite was Texco Green. Ryzen, how about you?
Oh, I'm all in on Texco Green.
Okay, we got two.
But Drake too is like sometimes he drops stuff at a relatable time. At that time, some texts are going green, bro. You feel his music different. Texco Green is that one for me, man.
I feel you.
A few people, so
yeah. I think it's not even a thing. My number one is still I Found a New Muse. That's Bad News for You. Why Would I Keep You Around? And that's not anything I could feel right now because again, another we got to put like a hashtag Jenny mention for Stay Busy. Like it is no new Muse. It's you, baby. But like I don't know. I felt that shit in my soul. I still feel it in my soul. A keeper, man. A keeper is just. It was my number 2 played song of the year too. So I think the proof is in the pudding.
Easily.
The proof is in the pudding. But fellas, thank y'all so much for popping in. Congratulations on successful 2022s for the both of you. I didn't get to say Rising is also an MBA candidate at UVA's Darden School of Business. So he's all about that money. And Kwani's all about that money and that fashion. I saw Rising at some formal the other day, suited up, 3-piece suit. Like these some fly brothers. These niggas keep me on my toes. So once I get beautiful again, these who I'm gonna be them and Nick. Nick is my stylist. Y'all know that already. I'm gonna be going to Kwani and the boy to get me right, so I can look like them. You know what I'm saying? But brothers, thank y'all so much for pulling through as always. Great to finally have y'all on the pod. We still gonna make the Drake Roundtable happen one day. We got to get Mike. We got to get all of the true Sixers into the room and just really like talk to the internet about how dumb these motherfuckers are. Drake is him.
Drake is him. I appreciate it, brother.
Of course. All right. Talk to y'all soon.
All right.
Peace.
All right, later, bro. Appreciate you.
Of course. Number 2 album of the year. Drake's honestly. Never mind. Then we getting into number 1. Well, what y'all think it is? While I call in my final guest, I want y'all to shout it out. I can't hear you. Maybe you could put it in the YouTube comments, but I want y'all to let me know what y'all think my number 1 is. And let me call in this menace here.
You.
Wango Okan. How you feeling, my brother?
I'm chilling, bro. What you on?
Man, I'm chilling, just here in the studio, sipping on some White Claws, telling the people what my top 10 albums of the year are. And I think that we're going to have a really good conversation about this album. Before we get there, Wango, as y'all know, who joined us on A Writer's Pod, one of my favorite episodes we've ever done, is a writer and SEO manager for Uproxx. He's interviewed the likes of Chloe Bailey, Division, John Legend, and many, many more artists doing his thing over at Uproxx, former home team. So much love for them. And Wango's that guy. If y'all don't follow him on Instagram, then you won't see his wild tweets that he posts every week.
They're not mine. Let's throw a little asterisk on it. They're not my tweets.
Oh yes.
The people.
They're not his. He's a curator of tweets. You know how like people make playlists. Like Wango makes like weekly playlists of tweets, and they're hilarious every time. Like every fucking week. I thought I had a really like devious mind, and then you see the mind of other people, and you're like, okay, I'm not so bad. But my number 1 album of the year, brother Wango, This is something that,
Yes,
you and I bonded over when you came on the show. It released in January, the first week of January, and a lot has come out since then. Nothing has measured up to this album, number one, The Weeknd's Dawn FM. My goodness. Like, bro, like to come out on January 7th and to withstand the test of time in this microwave ass music era that we live in, to where you're a January album that I remember, a January album that I'm revisiting, a January album that I'm debating about, that I'm watching people, they hated it when it dropped, they loving it now. Niggas hated it when they dropped. Well, I go like, yo, I know you saw it. I know you saw it.
I've seen it.
But, to talk to the people about why this is such a pivotal project for The Weeknd, and also just your feelings on it in general.
I mean, I think with every artist, I think the thing that separates you from the pack is like your ability to create like a new era with each project, right? And just off top, we've seen people that have been able to do that, like a Kendrick, like a Kanye West, sans all the nonsense shit that he's doing. And The Weeknd is like absolutely another example of that, and it gets more and more impressive throughout his career because just as you go, there's just like one less option of something to do that just might not be like too crazy that it just throws everyone off, but it's like different enough from the last thing, and that's what Dawn FM was. The whole kind of concept of it being like this like experience of like listening to the radio as you're I forgot how I explained it, but like you could really feel that as you're going through song to song, and like just the range of sonics on it. You have something as like peaceful and beautiful as Out of Time, and just fucking electronic and just crazy as Take My Breath. He just, the range and just the entire new sound of it is really impressed me. Like, I know people were big on After Hours, but this 100% was an improvement. Like, if you gotta force me to pick one, I'm going Dawn FM. No problem every time. Out of Time, I gotta look at the track list. Out of Time, Here We Go Again, Best Friends. That pocket of Out of Time to like
to Starry Eyes for me.
Starry Eyes,
Starry Eyes is special.
Right. And then even, I know people were a little on this song, but even I heard You're Married with Wayne.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, this was a very like, and it improved with each listen. Like, when I first listened, I was like, okay, this is a good album. Like, all right, Abel, you did your thing. But as I listened, I was like, oh no, this is fucking crazy. Like, and people was hating on it. I was like to just openly hate on something so good is like, just shows that your taste palette is off, which is like, it is such a sad thing to me because I would just hate for my taste palette to be off, but it's not, but I've seen people get it together by the end of the year. So
that's how
that's
I think for me, I had an interesting experience with Gasoline. Gasoline at first, I wasn't really feeling because that vocal filter he uses. I was like, I don't know, man. But once it clicked for me, Gasoline really straight through. Like there's really like truly, when I listen to this album, I play it all the way through. I don't feel inclined to skip anything. I don't feel that itch. Like how sometimes like something may not be trash, it may not be ass. Like, it's just like, it's good enough, but like, you don't want to skip it because people throw out no skips all the time. And like, if you say something's no skips, someone thinks it's a classic. Or like, if you say something's no skips, they think you're saying every song is heat. It's like, no, every song may not be heat, but I don't want to skip anything when I play this. Like, not a single thing.
If I sit to listen to this album, like, I'm going to listen straight through. Sure, there are moments where I just want to like listen to like maybe like 3, 4, 5 songs off it, but if I'm listening to Dawn FM, it's from start to finish. I forget the skip button exists. Like, all that. There's no pausing, all that. Like, straight through. And it's a better experience this time.
And I feel like, obviously, this is not a similar album to Renaissance or a similar album to Honestly Nevermind, but I think the daring efforts made by The Weeknd, Beyonce, and Drake to really lean into these things that are like off the beaten path for them. Like, you know, Weeknd came in making that woozy, toxic, druggy R&B everyone loved, and like over time you saw him switching, and people were resistant to it. Like I think Starboy is really when people kind of like there was a fork in the road. You're either staying for the ride or you're kind of off it. And then from Starboy, he goes to my dear melancholy. Then he gave us After Hours. And then he gives us, you know, this and it was like I'm riding with it, like, because as much as he'll give you a Blinding Lights and a Heartless, he'll also give you a Snow Child. He'll give you an Escape from L.A. He'll give you this myriad of records. And then I think Dawn FM is really just like, it's mostly one type of thing. Like obviously you get the kind of 80s pop R&B type joint from Out of Time, and then, you know, like similar vibes on Best Friends and Here We Go Again. Like, you know, he kind of gives you those records you don't want from him. But for the most part, yo, you riding with Take My Breath and Sacrifice and Starry Eyes and, you know, How Do I Make You Love Me? But it's like, bro, you don't have to make me. I love this. Like there's no making.
Here for it. Yeah, there was didn't need to convince. All I needed was 2 or 3 minutes of the song itself. By the end, I was like, all right, I'm here. Like, we're good. What's next?
I know it's early. The album has been out for less than a year, but I'm gonna ask you the hard questions. Where would you put this in Abel's catalog?
Are we including the mixtapes or not?
We can put.
I'm cool with not, but I just want to know how I'm approaching this.
Most people do it. I usually stick to studio albums, but if Trilogy ranks high for you, or if you even want to split it up to, you know, Echoes and Silence and House of Balloons, and, you know, if you want to split those up, you can.
That work.
So yeah, I'd like just you know keep it a buck. What's that ranking looking like?
All right, I'm gonna leave Trilogy out of it because I think Trilogy just is like all of that together just in its own field, and I think 9 out of 10 like the Weeknd fans are just gonna have it up there. So we're just gonna assume it's already up there. So just leave that there. I'm gonna say it's his best. Yeah. It before this one, my last like favorite The Weeknd album was Beauty Behind the Madness. Yeah, that one I really liked. And then probably after that, probably After Hours.
Okay.
But After Hours to me was a bit top heavy.
Yeah,
like
I
that
agree.
First half is my pocket, and then once I pass, what is it, like Blinding Lights or Heartless, I'm not really too interested in what's left.
Yeah, it's like tracks like 1 to 6 are impeccable, and then I'm looking up the track list right now just to remind myself, but I believe it was like tracks 1 to 6 I really love. Yeah, that's Alone Again to Escape from LA. Heartless I was never too big on, but then you get Faith right after. It's like Faith is crazy.
Okay, yeah, no, we gotta include that one in there. Okay, yeah, but then after that, I'm just like, yeah. That's why Dawn FM was so crazy, because he locked in for all, like, was it 16? Yeah, so I would put Dawn FM as his best.
I'm getting there, man. Like I know, like I was like, don't include the mixtapes, but like I have this love for My Dear Melancholy, which is just like it's a love that I've never experienced before. So that's like my favorite overall Weeknd project. And then I believe it's Starboy number 2. Yeah, Starboy number 2, and then this. But I think over time, Dawn FM is gonna leap over Starboy for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But Starboy's great too. But Starboy gets a lot of hate. A lot of people. How you feel about Starboy? I don't think you addressed that.
I'm very like, I don't hate it. I think it is.
I don't know how I feel about that answer.
It's probably a bit too left of what I like from the Weeknd. There are plenty of songs there though that I do like. Party Monster, Reminder, 6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
Die For You, my nigga. Die For You's on that? Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if that was on that project, but yeah. That one. So yeah, I mean there's records on there that I do like. I think as a total body of work though, it doesn't capture me the same way that Dawn does, that Beauty Behind the Madness does. Yeah.
I respect that. Okay. Yeah. I respect that. What's your number one album of the year? Is it this?
My number one album of the year. No.
Oh wait.
It's definitely.
Oh
it's
no!
like,
don't do it! Don't do it! You
it's
about to
like
do
top.
it?
No. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. It fluctuates between that or that. I think you're thinking of. It's a back and forth between Vince and Beyonce, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, the Vince is
Because
fantastic.
but yeah, Vince is fantastic, but the way Beyonce had me locked in for like 2 weeks straight off Renaissance, and I don't think any project. Actually, I would lie. Her loss had me locked in like that for a couple of weeks. But there's a few projects that had it like that. But then just the music and it was summer. Like it was just it was perfect. So if you made me pick one, I'll probably go Beyonce.
Okay. Now since you're here to talk my number one album with me, I gotta ask you one more question for a superlative for the year. Who is your MVP of 2022?
Ooh. MVP 2022. I would say, can I have? I gotta pick one. I have two options. I will say Kendrick. That's my typical answer, and I'll explain it like this.
He's
say
not your
why.
savior.
No, he's not my savior.
He's not your savior.
But he dropped a good album.
He did.
The visuals around it have been amazing. His tour was amazing. Like, there's a lot that he put into 2022 in only really 6 months because he dropped like mid-May.
Mid-May, yeah.
So in addition to the music, like it just can't be one project to me.
Yeah.
That like gives you like the MVP title. So when you take the music and you take the visuals and the direction that he's been going with everything, the tour, the design, the whole experience there. And then the other person I was considering is Ashake, who is the Afrobeats artist who stepped in with an EP at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Had this song Sumba that Burna Boy remix that fucking ran through the whole year, but then he was literally dropping song after song after song that like was just slap after slap after slap. Like it pretty much got to a point where it was like 8 months straight, like you just didn't, if you were tapped into like the Afrobeats or like even spend any time in the Afrobeat scene, like for 8 months straight, you did not hear him.
Word. Well, my brother, I appreciate you joining us once again. You're my guy. You've had a fantastic year as a writer and just as a person, and even as a menace too. So I hope that you can make it out in January for that Drake concert. I haven't told our listeners yet, but I will be at that Drake Apollo concert because I am him and he is me. So hopefully Wango comes out so we can get obliterated together and then knock out on Jordan's couch.
That's if you hang this time because last time we know what happened.
Brother, we killed a bottle of Terramana during the episode. Jordan buys another bottle of Terramana and Taylor Port. What do you think was gonna happen to me?
No. See, you're not telling. And why did you drink the Terramana and the Taylor Port?
Because I'm a demon.
We went to get a chopped cheese and you killed like a quarter of it. Like, why would you by yourself? What was that about?
I don't even remember doing that. That's how chopped I was.
Yeah, we got you chopped cheese. I think you could even eat it.
Oh, you did? Damn, yo, yeah, you got some good guys for real.
Yeah, my bank account agrees.
Thank you again, bro.
Yes, you will catch me next month. Looking forward to seeing you again, bro. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, man. I'll talk to you soon.
For sure, bro. Take it easy.
Peace. Armon Sadler's number one album of the year for this season, The Weeknd's Dawn FM. What a great episode. What a fun discussion with all my friends discussing this list. List season is here. I welcome the arguments. I may not respond to you, but I'll hear them, I'll read them, and if it's worth a discussion, we can discuss. Now, I do want to give some honorable mentions. My honorable mention list was pretty large at first, and so it's made me kind of backtrack on what I said to Oxcord Whisperer when I was like, damn, I only like this many projects. So when I had to sit down and write down the number of projects I liked, I was like, okay, I actually liked a lot more than I did. I think it's really just certain artists that I expected more from didn't really deliver. Like Lil Baby's album is like one of the most disappointing for me. A Boogie's album, I don't even talk about it. That shit was fucking trash. Like I'm sorry, no disrespect to you, A Boogie. Like I've fucked with you in the past, but like that shit is fucking trash. Not that I had high expectations for it, but I kind of just listened. I was like, yo, this shit is terrible, absolutely terrible. But my 5 honorable mentions, I limited myself to 5 of them. SZA, SOS, of course, that is at the top of the honorable mention list. If I had a top 11 albums of the year, SOS would be number 11. And over time, if I have to get my top 10 albums of 2022, this might end up in the top 10. But for this episode's sake, I'm not going to do that. Metro Boomin, Heroes and Villains, I think that is just a fantastic follow-up to Not All Heroes Wear Capes. Trance with Young Thug and Travis Scott was great. 21 Savage really showed his ass on that. Don Toliver, Future, Nudie, like just amazing. And a producer-led album. I'm not gonna say any names, but there's some producer-led albums that we be like, yeah, and then you hear this, you're like, Metro. If Young Metro don't trust you, he gonna shoot you. Ari Lennox, Age, Sex, Location. I just think this is the progression of her vocally, production-wise, her energy, her really, really growing into herself, owning herself. I think that was fantastic. You cannot talk about 2022. If you went outside, you heard this nigga. Bad Bunny, Un Verano Sin Ti. Party, party, party. That shit, undeniable. Bad Bunny, like, him doesn't really feel like it is sufficient enough to describe Bad Bunny. Like, there's really nothing to say. Like, just the biggest artist in the world. And a professional wrestler. Like, this is just undeniable. Like, Bad Bunny's that guy. You heard this album all year. You will continue to hear this album. The definition of timeless music. And Nick talked about this album to me. He was like, yo, I was surprised it didn't make your list. I was like, bro, this just shows how strong the second half of 2022 was. Sid's Broken Hearts Club, which came out in April, is my final honorable mention of the year. So I'm happy with my list. This is the final list. I'm locking in. If someone drops a classic in these next 10 however many days, it's clipped. It's not gonna happen. But with that, I want to thank y'all for another great year of Stay Busy. I want to see y'all list. So you can hit us in the comments, you can hit us in the DMs, but hit us publicly. So if I get cooked, y'all got to get cooked too. Give me a full list. So if I get cooked, y'all get cooked too. Drop the list. Drop your MVPs. Drop your comeback artists of the year. Drop your worst albums of the year. All that good stuff. Most importantly, as I play you out with one of my favorite songs from my favorite albums, make sure that you stay safe, stay humble, stay busy.
Baby girl, how you feeling? I've been out in the world, staying busy, taking time, getting right if you miss me. I've been out in the world, staying busy.
Mondays 9 a.m. Party with the gang. Every week, tell a friend. Busy over everything. Busy boys, out of call now. Ain't you heard? Got the vibes. They put you on. Got the slides. I'm the size. When in doubt, no, we hold it down.
Baby girl, how you feeling? I've been out in the world, staying busy, taking time, getting right if you miss me.